Welcome back, folks! Hope you're having a great week. In this video, we're counting down the top 3 locomotives that everyone should have in their collection. This means you, and you, and you. You get it. All of us. It doesn't matter what scale you collect, whether it's O scale, or G scale, or N scale, or HO, and blah, blah, blah. This video is for everyone. This list is not going to feature any giant articulated engines. The goal here is to count down locomotives that can fit on a variety of layouts. Sorry, big boy. Don't drop it. Sorry, triplex. Although look for my next video on that one. After we count down the top 3 locomotives, I'll give a couple of honorable mentions. Get your checklist ready and sit back, relax, and enjoy. After I get done counting down these 3 locomotives, leave me a comment and let me know if you agree. What train engines should have been in the top 3 according to your opinion? This list is not going to be road name specific, and it's not going to be era specific. Starting us off at number 3, the GG1. The GG1 is an iconic engine for any collector. In O gauge, the first GG1 came out in 1947. So this has been a part of model railroading history for a long time. The GG1 is also just one of those really interesting locomotives. If you've ever seen this in real life, it is a massive locomotive. And this engine has been offered through a number of different eras, starting with that post-war era of Lionel, the MPC and Fun Dimensions, up through the 90s, and Lionel is making it again with the announcement in their most recent catalog with their Vision Line offerings. I can't tell you about the scale GG1 without showing you one. And since I don't have one, I had to get with my friend Chris from Chris's Trains and Things. Check out his YouTube channel. He was nice enough to send me some clips of his scale GG1 on his layout.
Come on, man, how don't you have one of these things?
The YouTube train Chris's have to band together. In my collection, I have this Pennsylvania model from the post-war era. Some fun trivia on this model. It's actually becoming more difficult to find one with the pinstripes, because over the years of being played with by different generations, these wear off. I also have another vintage model with the Amtrak colors on it. Both of these engines will run on a variety of layouts. Can't say the same for the scale model. That one's going to require some space. The GG1 is just too much of an important locomotive in the history of all things trains to not be here in the top 3. Number 2, the Hudson. You probably thought I was going to make the Hudson number 1. If you're new to this channel, the Hudson is my favorite steam locomotive for a lot of different reasons. But it's not quite enough to make the number 1 spot, if I'm being objective. Of course, this entire list is my opinion, and there's nothing the internet loves more than a good opinion from some random person. The Hudson has been around in O gauge since 1937. With the famous 700E, the one Hudson I still don't have. But it's enjoyed a long history through all the eras of O gauge. And there's so many different varieties of Hudson that you can get. Different road names, different deco. The 773 Hudson from the post-war era is one of the favorite engines in my collection. There's also this 2046 Hudson. This is another post-war Hudson, much smaller. This one goes under my Christmas tree every year. There are Hudsons through these other eras. The 783 from the MPC era. I also was able to sneak this 763 pre-war Hudson. This Hudson is based on the famous 700E, but is considered a semi-scale Hudson. And you can see these big tin plate trucks on the tender. It still runs. One of the oldest engines in my collection. The MPC era had several Hudsons as well. One of my favorite sets is the Blue Comet set. It's not even supposed to be a Hudson, but it is. The famous Commodore Vanderbilt Hudson of the 90s with its excellent TMCC early era whistle. Nothing sounds quite like this one. and the modern Hudsons. These more prototypical models are some of my favorites to run. And my favorite prototypical Hudson of all time, the 20th Century Limited, this Dreyfuss Hudson with its streamlining. A close second would have to be the Empire State Express. Ugh, these are just some great trains. Long live the Hudson. Let's recap the list so far. Number 3, the GG1, and number 2, the Hudson. This brings us to number 1, and you may have already guessed what it's going to be. The F3 diesel locomotive. Absolutely. How could we not call out the F3 as the number 1 locomotive that everyone should have in their collection? The F3 is arguably the most recognizable locomotive in North American locomotive history, especially versions such as the Santa Fe, the Texas Special, the New York Central. These models have been around for years and years. The Santa Fe F3 is almost synonymous with O-gauge railroading. There are so many varieties and so many eras that have produced the F3. The F3 came onto the scene in 1948 in O-gauge and dominated the market. It's been produced over and over again, and now we have, of course, the modern scale command control versions of these. Just amazing train sets. If you're watching this and you're looking at your own collection, and maybe you have another variation, such as an F7, we'll take that. That counts. I think the point here is to have that car body F unit diesel. It's always fun too if you have like the full set, like the ABBA sets. There's something about the colors and the uniformity, the history. That diesel transition era is such a popular one for modelers. What'd you think? Do you agree with my top 3? Am I crazy? Don't answer that. Honorable mentions. Believe it or not, I debated this list for some time. I put out a post on my community page and pulled data in, looked at what people had suggested, and I'll tell you, it was pretty clear which engines made the list. There are some honorable mentions that we need to address. The first honorable mention is the Northern style steam locomotive. This includes iconic trains like the Southern Pacific Daylight, the Union Pacific 844, the Norfolk and Western J-Class, the Santa Fe Northern, the Reading T1 Northern. There is no doubt that the Northern steam locomotive is an icon. Another honorable mention is the Berkshire type locomotive. For the American locomotive enthusiast, this includes the Nickel Plate Road 765 and the Pierre Marquette 1225. And for lovers of all things holiday, the Polar Express. The Berkshire, however, when I compared it next to the GG1, the Hudson, and the F3, it just didn't quite have enough history around it in terms of toy trains to make the top 3. This may be slightly controversial for those who are really big fans of the 765 or the 1225, or for all of those fans of the Polar Express. But since that's such a seasonal train, it was hard to put it in the top 3. The final honorable mention is a modern diesel. And I'm just going to open that up as a pretty big funnel. Modern diesels are so great to collect because they are a reflection of what we see today. The SD70s, the ES44s, all of those different types of variations of those modern locomotives. And for anyone who collects trains, the modern diesels are also some of the most reliable locomotives you can run on your layout. And we're just going to leave it at that, right? Because nothing ever goes wrong with our steam trains. This concludes the countdown. What did you think? Was I right? Was I wrong? Do you agree? Disagree? That's all right. I can take it. Let me know what you really thought. As always, a huge thank you to all of my subscribers and everyone who's been supporting this channel. My name is Chris, and this is RBP Trains. We'll see you next time.